President Trump held his first cabinet meeting today, invited members of the media in. People on the left complained that Elon Musk was there. Elon Musk, of course, is not a member of the cabinet. But then neither was Jill Biden when she was invited to cabinet meetings. And I think at one time she even conducted the cabinet meeting because her hubby was unavailable. So here's what happened today. Number 46.
I'd like to have Elon Musk please say a few words.
Okay, thank you, Elon. Thank you, Mr. President. I actually just call myself a humble tech support here because this is actually, as crazy as it sounds, that is almost a literal description of the work that the DOGE team is doing, is helping fix the government computer systems. Many of these systems are extremely old. They don't communicate. There are a lot of mistakes in the systems. The software doesn't work. So we are actually tech support. It's ironic, but it's true. The overall goal here with the DOGE team is to help address the enormous deficit. We simply cannot sustain as a country $2 trillion deficits. The interest rates, just the interest on the national debt, now exceeds the Defense Department spending. We spend a lot on the Defense Department, but we're spending like over $1 trillion on interest. If this continues, the country will become de facto bankrupt. It's not an optional thing; it is an essential thing. That's the reason I'm here. And taking a lot of flack, and getting a lot of death threats, by the way. I mean, I like to stack them up, you know. But if we don't do this, America will go bankrupt. That's why it has to be done. I'm confident at this point, knock on wood, you know, knock on my wooden head, there's a lot of wood up there, that we can actually find $1 trillion in savings. That would be roughly 15% of the $7 trillion budget. And obviously that can only be done with the support of everyone in this room. And I'd like to thank everyone for your support. Thank you very much. This can only be done with your support. So it's really, DOGE is a support function for the President and for the agencies and departments to help achieve those savings and to effectively find 15% in reduction in fraud and waste. And we bring the receipts. So people say, like, well, is this real? Just go to doge.gov. We line item by line item, we specify each item. So, and I should say, we will make mistakes. We won't be perfect. But when we make a mistake, we'll fix it very quickly. So, for example, with USAID, one of the things we accidentally canceled very briefly was Ebola prevention. I think we all want Ebola prevention. So we restored the Ebola prevention immediately, and there was no interruption. But we do need to move quickly if we're to achieve a $1 trillion deficit reduction in financial year 2026. It requires saving $4 billion per day, every day, from now through the end of September. But we can do it, and we will do it.
I will say this again. It's not about the deficit. The deficit is just a gap between how much money the government takes in and how much it spends. You can close that by simply raising taxes. The real issue is the size, scope, and intrusiveness of government. And I've said this before, can't do this now politically or even morally. But at some point, Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid have to be addressed. All three of these programs are unsustainable. Obama has said that before. Republicans have said it before. Bill Clinton even put together a commission to look at Social Security and recommended a greater return on investment, extending the time by which you're allowed to collect benefits, or cutting down benefits. One of the three. And of course, nothing was done because the first time you start talking about doing anything about Social Security, Democrats yell and scream that you're trying to cut people off from Social Security. Never mind, you're talking about younger workers in their 30s or 40s. But unless those kinds of things are done, the government will never get down to the size it's supposed to be, and forget about doing something about the $37 trillion debt. Now, the press secretary says that there are $2.7 trillion in Medicare and Medicaid fraud that's been uncovered by DOGE. Department of Education cuts $600 million from ideological training programs for teachers. The Department of Education says that these programs promote divisive ideologies, inappropriate and unnecessary topics, social diversity, equity, inclusion, social justice activism. Some of the defunded programs are programs that required educators to acknowledge systemic inequities, like racism, and to, quote, critically reassess, close quote, their own teaching. Others offered professional development workshops on, quote, building cultural competence. What the hell does that even mean? Building cultural competence, and, quote, dismantling racial bias, and, quote, centering equity in the classroom. Some of these initiatives guided teachers to, quote, interrupt racial marginalization and oppression of students, close quote. So if your students are being racially marginalized, teachers are supposed to interrupt and stop this oppression. So these programs cost some $600 million. They've now been cut from the Department of Education. Thanks for watching these clips from The Larry Elder Show. If you enjoyed this content, be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon so you never miss a moment. More thought-provoking discussions are just a click away, so stay tuned, and we'll see you in the next one.